Even as the counties move to close health facilities for new admissions, the Laikipia Governor Miriithi Ndiritu has made the sole decision to offer full health services despite the directive. He joins us live to explain the decision. Now, yesterday, Governor, you stated that you would not shut down the operations of Laikipia County despite the Council of Governors position. Why do you hold a dissenting view from that of the Council of Governors?
Oh, I don't hold a dissenting view.
Okay.
I think, as I explained in my own statement, I expect that all non-essential services will come to a halt. As to the question of health, which I think is what you're asking me, as a general rule, we would not let a citizen die when we can be able to provide them a health service. What you should know, though, is that even the health system will be operating at a very low level. There are many things that will not be able to offer you. So, for instance, public health services, for instance, elective surgeries and so on. But as governments, it is our cardinal responsibility to protect life. So I do not hold any separate view. And also, around the world, and I think you see this in the US and other jurisdictions, where governments do shut down when there is no, there's no provision for a continuation of government services when there's a budget crisis. And that's what we have. So I don't think we should sensationalize it too much. It's a very straightforward thing. The Senate has failed to do its work, and they are trying, but obviously they're not succeeding. The National Treasury and the Controller of Budget have decided to violate the Public Finance Management Act, and unfortunately the Attorney General has supported their position. So that's where we are, in a very unhappy, untidy place. Across the country, there will be minimum services in most counties. We shall endeavor to save lives, because that is our cardinal responsibility of any responsible government.
All right. And with that said, Governor, how is Laikipia County currently funding its operations in the wake of the ongoing revenue allocation stalemate at the Senate?
From our own source revenue, as you know, we have been achieving significant growth in own source revenue, but obviously it is not sufficient to be able to provide the full set of services that are devolved. I think the bigger question we should be asking is, why would national government institutions be trying to scuttle devolution? Why would national government institutions be interfering with the flow of funds? And contrary to some popular opinion, the funds that go to counties, it's not a gift from the national government. It is a share of taxes that you and the other Kenyans pay so that governments can provide you with services. So, contrary to what some senator may have pronounced, it is not us. It is the Senate, it is the Controller of Budget, it is the National Treasury, it is the Attorney General that are acting contrary to the Constitution, and it is they who should be held liable for the lives of Kenyans.
Mheshimiwa, should the Senate fail to reach an agreement this afternoon, how do you intend to keep the county running?
As I told you, we are making do with our own source revenue, and that is the reason why the level of services that we are able to offer is diminished, for the simple reason that we are unable to access our constitutionally guaranteed own source revenue, not own source revenue, equitable share. So and this is why more than 2 weeks ago, we did warn the country that there was this impending point of crisis, because obviously it is not reasonable to expect people to work if you're not able to pay services or to pay for their salaries. It's not reasonable to expect people, to go to provide extension services, perhaps walking or whatever. You have to be able to provide for recurrent expenditure to allow staff to be able to carry out their duties. And for all those reasons, the level of services available is curtailed indeed. If the Senate does not agree, and I should warn you, even if they do agree, what are they agreeing to? What is on their order paper? What is before them is the Ishongwa Amendment Bill. Now, even if they're able to deal with it in the first reading today, it will be in middle of next week when they can conclude it. Then when it is done, it still has to go back to the National Assembly. So even if things work out in terms of what they're doing today, we are still 3 to 4 weeks away from legally being able to access the money. What is the alternative then?
Yes, what is the alternative? Yes.
Is that, yes, the alternative is that these institutions who are saying that their hands are tied, namely Controller of Budget and the National Treasury, we have invited them as CoG. Let us approach the courts together so that the courts can untie their hands and they can be proceeding as we wait for the legislative process to conclude. So the most reasonable route today available to be able to carry out our constitutional responsibilities is for the Controller of Budget and for the National Treasury and the Attorney General to agree together with the Council of Governors, approach court so that we can have a court ruling that allows for the money to flow.
And then, Governor, just to throw this in, have you followed any directive from the Council of Governors to send any of your staff on leave?
Again, I want to keep reminding you and all Kenyans in the world, there are no directives from the Council of Governors. We sat as a Council of Governors and made certain resolutions. The chairman merely communicated that position to the world yesterday. And that was not even the first communication. I think that was the third communication. Earlier in the month, around 2nd or 3rd of February, of September, we met, made certain resolutions and communicated. Again, on September 8th, we met at Movenpeak. Again, we communicated, and so on. So that these are resolutions. They are not sudden. We have alerted the nation several times before. So these are resolutions of the Council of Governors taken collectively. And of course, as an individual county, the reality is that you are a legal entity and you have to pay your bills. And if you are unable to pay your bills, you will not be able to provide services. So that it has nothing to do with directive or no directive. It is simply the reality that counties do not have money. And not because you're not paying taxes, because some persons have conspired to ensure that the monies don't get to counties.
How much does it actually cost you, a county, to keep essential services such as health running?
Well, for instance, in Laikipia, it depends on from county to county.
Okay.
The cost of health services is anywhere from about 24% of county budgets. That is the county with the lowest proportion to about 52%, which is the county with the highest proportion going to health. Here in Laikipia, nearly 38% of our budget goes to health. And in terms of salaries, 52% of our salary goes directly to health workers.
All right. And as we wind up, the last time you spoke to us, you indicated that the Treasury could release 50% of the revenue share to counties as the Senate sorts out the revenue allocation debate. We understand that the National Treasury, as you said, has since said it would be illegal to do so. What do you propose as the way forward to end the revenue allocation stalemate?
Well, first of all, it is not illegal because it is provided in the Public Finance Management Act, regulation number 134. And those regulations are made by the same Treasury. So frankly, they are creating an excuse. The law is already in place, and I honestly think you should read it for your viewers, because it says something like, if the county allocation is not passed by Parliament on time, then disburse 50% of the previous year's CARA. Now, it is in very plain English. Your guess is as good as mine why the National Treasury doesn't want to follow its own regulation. And by the way, by doing so, the National Treasury has opened a really big can of worms. We are compiling to send back to them all the circulars that they have sent us over the last 8 years that have been based on the regulations that they themselves are refusing to follow. So they have opened a really big can of worms, and we have served them notice that we will no longer respect the regulations if they themselves cannot. So it is lawful, and our view is they should simply follow the law.
All right, Mheshimiwa, I've heard what you said, and I'm sure Kenyans have also heard what you have said. Unless you have any closing remarks?
My closing remarks, again, is to appeal to the National Treasury, the Controller of Budget, and indeed the Attorney General to follow the law. Even if the Attorney General believes that the regulations are not very good, he cannot suspend them. And yesterday in our meeting, he admitted as much. So the National Treasury must follow the law. Even if they want it improved, then they can embark on that process of improving it. That is about the release of the 50%
All right.
Of last year's CARA. In terms of the overall question, I think that senators, and I really hope today they will put aside their differences and spend less time insulting governors and spend more time debating amongst themselves and persuading themselves to do what is their constitutional duty, which is to ensure that your taxes are able to provide you with services. I thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you so much. That is Governor Ndiritu Miriithi from Laikipia County, Governor of Laikipia County. Good afternoon, Governor.
Asante sana.
Asante.
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.